See the light right there?
Yeah. Wobble baby, wobble baby, wobble baby, wobble. Wobble baby, wobble baby, wobble baby, wobble. Wobble baby, wobble baby, wobble baby, wobble. Wobble baby, wobble baby, wobble baby.
Get in there. Yeah, yeah.
Get in there. Yeah, yeah. Get in there.
Yeah, yeah.
Get in there. Yeah, yeah. Hey, little people, won't you back it up now? Back it up. Hey, big people, won't you back it up now? Come on. Back it up.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching. And for those who are new, welcome to our channel. Don't mind us. We just acting the fool today.
And we having a good time at the same time.
So welcome to our channel. We hope that you are having a good day today as well. And my name is Marshall, for those who do not know. And this is my lovely husband.
Vito, a bandito. Vito Corleone. That's what I was going to be. That's what they call me.
Anyway, again, thank you guys for watching. And today we're going to be talking about the importance of waiting for God and His timing and the consequences of not waiting on God's timing. So if you're in that valley of decision, if you're just trying to make sure that you stay in God's will, you want to make sure that you stay tuned, because we have some lovely information we would like to share with you in regards to our experiences and how God has dealt with us in making decisions in the flesh out of His will. All right? So we love you guys. So I pray that you guys will please listen attentively, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share with your friends. And we'll be back. As you know, we live in a society where it's pretty much microwavable. We want everything and we want it now.
Ding, 10 seconds.
Everything is instant, and we don't really have to wait for anything. You have technology now that you can just use, and bam, you have what you want. And a lot of times we take that perspective and that concept into our lives in pretty much every area of our life, and not really allowing God to be our guide. And it's easier for us to just go ahead and satisfy that craving immediately versus waiting on God, because sometimes God's timing is longer, of course, than ours. But God is a perfect God, and He knows all things, so He knows exactly what we can handle at that particular time and what we cannot. And a lot of times we go ahead of God, especially when it comes to relationships, and we find ourselves hooking up with people that God never intended for us to hook up, or hooking up maybe with the person He wanted, but out of His timing.
Come on now.
So perfect timing is so important.
I'm sorry, did that sound like a deacon?
Yes, you did. No deacons, please.
No deacons.
So we have to be very careful when we say that I believe this is God and we're going to go ahead and do it, and not really getting that confirmation from God, and then just going ahead and doing what we want to do. And recently, my husband and I have been talking and meeting people who have pretty much gotten themselves into relationships, and God had nothing to do with it. It was them, all them, and now they're suffering and feeling the consequences of that. And we definitely want to kind of touch on that later on, in regards to once you already have got it, you're in it, what do you do? That'll be part 2. Y'all just rhyme.
I don't know, girl.
What did you do?
Good, though. I'm
part 2. So, but right now we want to just kind of give you some of our experiences of going before God.
Yeah.
Even as children of God. I'm not talking about those who don't have a relationship with God. I'm talking about those who have a relationship with God and you're trying to find your way, and you want to make sure that, you know, you hook up with the right person. Is this God? And I'm going to allow my husband to kind of give you a little synopsis and an overview of what happened when he decided to go forth in a relationship.
Yeah.
In the flesh.
In the flesh, baby.
And God allowed him to stay in it for 14 years.
14.
Of HE double hockey sticks.
Yes.
Because of it.
Yeah.
So, babe.
Yes.
I'm going to start with you first.
Come on with it.
Saved.
Yeah.
We was in a backsliding mode, right?
I was.
But
yeah.
you knew at the time what state of mind you was in.
Right. And
you decided to see this female, and then you can go from there.
Well, actually, when I saw this female, of course, I was in my early 20s. When I say early, I'm talking about early 20s. So when I saw this female, I basically liked what I saw. But at the same time, I had help because I was over one of my friend's house. Him and his girlfriend was together, but she was with his girlfriend, and I saw her.
No, you can get go all into details.
But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, just give me the basics. You saw a girl, you liked it,
I liked her.
Wanted it.
I wanted it, and I went forward with it, even though I knew in my heart that was not, God was telling me no.
How do you know he was telling you no?
Because you just hear that voice. You know, it's just something in you. You know, even in the backsliding stage, God still will speak to you. Okay, so get this straight. Even when you're in the backsliding stage, it doesn't hinder God's voice from coming from heaven to earth to put in your ear and say, hey, don't do that.
Because you're his child.
You still his child, even though you walking in disobedience. So yeah, of course. You know, I saw her. You know, I liked her, and also I was hot in the flesh. Okay, you know, you know.
You saw your friends had girlfriends.
Yeah, my friends had girlfriends. My god brother, who I love dearly, that is just like my ace boom coon. I mean, he was really like a model for me. Really, to be honest with you, my god brother. He know who he is. EC, first initial, last. But my sister was married. Everybody was getting married. I wasn't getting married yet, you know, even as a man. Why you looking like that? I mean, even men do go through this same emotional thing. So, yeah, I mean, you know, I saw her, you know, and I wanted it. And I knew that at that time, at that moment, I knew that you know, God was telling me no. But I went forward anyway because that voice... Because that
you lonely, were you just insecure?
I was
self, you know, low
I wanted that companionship just like everybody else was getting. You know, I wanted to have somebody. I didn't have no girlfriend, all right? So I wanted to have somebody, just like I saw all my friends have somebody. So hey, I wanted that experience. You know, I'm tired of being alone by myself sometimes, you know.
Did you pray and ask God, you know, God?
No, I did not. I wasn't even seeking God, wasn't going to seek God, didn't want to hear nothing what he had to say.
They say they have sought God and they did pray and end up...
And they may have, but they may have not waited for God's voice too.
And his response.
And his response to the prayer. Right. That's the key. And even then, you know, being impatient, of course, kicking in, you know, but at that moment, I didn't even have to ask God. God had already told me even before I asked him, no. No, you know, he would do that. He would sit back and wait. You know, hey,
so
no.
what are certain things that once you got into it,
then
you got married.
Yeah.
When did it click and then you said, you know what, this is not God and I made a huge mistake? And
well, the warning signs was already there even before that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
you ignored all the signs.
I ignored all the signs.
And usually we do.
You know, warning comes before destruction. It is so true. But the warning signs were already there. And I didn't want to pay attention to the warning signs because I was like, oh, man, nah, you know, nah, she ain't going to do me like that. Yeah, she doing them like that, but she ain't going to do me like that. So I kind of just went along with it. And then at the same time, you know, her and I being in a relationship, now we got intimate with each other. So now that even made us even more twain in the, you know what I'm saying, like a soul tie.
Was that before or after? Did y'all have?
That was, yeah, we had intercourse before that. Before marriage, yeah. We sure did. We had intercourse before marriage, and people don't understand when you're having intercourse before marriage, that blocks and cancels out a lot of things, because now not only have you taken that step to say, okay, I'm going forward with this relationship, but now y'all don't have intimacy now. So now y'all bringing y'all flesh as one now. So now a lot of emotions are now, you drawn to her, you connected to her, she's connected to you emotionally, and now ain't no spiritual thing. Now it's all flesh now.
And it deters your judgment.
Yes, it does.
It deters and sin is what separates us from God anyway. So until we repent from that, it's like, okay, God says he turns away from sin. He turns away from it. He's waiting for you to repent, and a lot of times we don't. We
don't repent because we feel like that we didn't make a mistake yet. You know, we still convinced that this is the one. They're going to change. Months go down the line. You're still hoping that they're going to change, and you know, I'm pretty sure. See, we're talking about at that moment when they're coming together in the flesh, right? Who God spoke to first? He could speak to that young lady and say, don't you marry him. But in my case, he was speaking to me. See, I can't speak for her, but I know what he told me.
And you disobeyed.
And I disobeyed. So whoever it is he's speaking to at that moment, that's the one he's holding accountable for. To say, you will be the one.
Do you think, and this just came to my mind, I could be the devil's advocate, and not to support females, but I just want to kind of ask you this question. If everything started in the garden, and God spoke to Adam first in regards to the tree.
Right.
He didn't speak to Eve first.
Yes. Okay, I got you.
He spoke to the male first. Do you think that even in modern days, you think that God speaks to the man first? Or he speaks for the ones that has the closer relationship with him at that particular time?
I believe that. I believe
Which one?
I believe the one who has the relationship with him. That's the one who he's speaking to first.
Okay, and I said that only because sometimes we think, you know, the males are the ones that God would speak to because they were the first, and that's not true.
That's not true.
Adam had a relationship closer than Eve at that particular time, I believe.
Because she wasn't created yet.
Right.
She wasn't created yet.
So then, and when she came along, it was so many things that God had already dealt with the Adam aspect before, like you say, Eve even came about. So I believe it has to do with those who have that closer relationship with him.
Exactly.
That God holds responsible in regards to moving forward in anything, especially relationships. Okay.
And have you ever heard these stories? And we've seen it in movies where both of them just feeling, we just don't supposed to be doing this.
Right.
And at that moment, God is speaking to both of them.
That would be awesome.
It works sometimes in the movies. It does. You know, like, I don't think we should get married. You think?
I believe it happens.
It happens. It happens because God is so balanced,
right?
And He's so a God that's not in a box to where He can speak to one who's paying attention,
and the other one,
and then the other one at the same time, and then both of them come together and say, "I just don't think this is going to work." And you're like, "Oh, thank you. I wanted to say it, but I just didn't know how."
And when you have that relation, that's why it's again so important to have that relationship with God. Because then two people can come together as sisters and brothers and say, Daddy said no, so we need to let go. And then we can still be on good terms. But then when you're unequally yoked, you have one up here and the other one down here, you're going to always have that battle and that struggle with each other, trying to hear the voice of God.
And how about this? 3 months while we were dating, my relatives saw it way before I did.
And usually people from the outside
my
sister,
see it. You know, I just couldn't figure out why. My sister was, you know,
that's called confirmation.
You know, she didn't, you know, click with that individual. You know, and I'm like, well, why you don't like that? You know, I ain't with fine. And you know, and I can see it, but back then I couldn't see it. So it was like the people around you know.
They know.
And that's the wonderful part about it. That's how much God loves His children. Yeah, even when you can't grab a hold to it, He'll put people in your path. I'm sorry, y'all. Even though you may not see it, God put people in your pathway who's able to see it. But some of them will not say anything because they don't want. Because they know, but some of them they will not say anything. So I mean, it's like that's why God is just such a God of love. You know, he's just a God of love. He loves his children. So now, after, you know, we don't got it and everything, you know, and got married and all of that, you know, a year go by, of course, and it was just constantly confusion, fighting. When I say fighting, I'm talking about fists. I'm talking about verbally fighting, verbally hurting each other,
mental abuse.
Yeah, mental abusing each other, and it was already like that before we even got married.
So it magnifies when you say I do.
It magnifies, but the warning signs are already there. Because, you know, at that time at an early age, I didn't know where I was going at. And my relationship with God was not the way it is now. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I'm saying as you be in this relationship with God over the years and over time, and as with anything with time, as you stick with it, as you be in it, you start to grow and mature. You start to, you know, understand God's voice and then not get so upset when things don't go your way. That's called going through the process of learning this Father that we have been introduced to through Jesus Christ. So that thing magnified because it started off in the flesh.
Right.
So as we said, I do, then it even more magnified. And then it's like from every, and it's like, sweetie, I must tell you that it never got to a point where there was just peace for a certain season, like a year or 6 months, or it was always every 3 months or every 2 months or every 2 weeks. It's constantly back and forth.
Consistent hell.
Consistent H-E double hockey sticks.
Exactly.
You know, so you're like, well, no, this is going to get better. Even when we joined a religious organization, we thought that, okay, maybe, you know, it's going to get better. No, it stayed the same because it started off wrong. So been in that for 14 years. Check this out. Then we separated for 3 months, maybe 4 months. And I remember, as God is my witness, I remember God telling me, it's over. You don't have to go back. I've released you from this. Do you not know? Because I had been cleaved with this person for like 7 years. 7 years. I went back to this person for 7 more years of H-E-double L hockey sticks. After God told me don't go back, I did it again. Why? Because I was caught up in my flesh again. You know, we get to this thing where we use the scriptures. Can I say this? That people say, well, you know, God hates divorce, but listen, let me just share this with you. Even Jesus himself said, okay, what God have joined together, let no man put asunder. And then he spoke about that divorce is permitted if it be for fornication. And if Christ would have not put that in, he knew that some people, when they're going through a marriage, some people are going to hook themselves up. Okay? Some people are going to connect themselves. Okay? But when God put you together, you're not going to separate from each other. You know, it's going to be one of them situations. Why? Because he's the perfect matchmaker. So he knows what you can handle, what I can handle. So it starts from the beginning, you know. So he knows the maturity level where you are. He knows the maturity level where both of you are when he connects you together. So you're going to have your challenges, yes, because you remember both of you are going to be coming from different spectrums, you know, different backgrounds, you know. But when God brings it together, it's going to be right now. You know, the maturity level is going to be right for you to be able to go with each other and grow with each other. You know, not saying it's going to be perfect, but it's going to be more of a blessing than it is a struggle, you know, because of that, because you did it in God's time. So, yeah, I mean, it was like, and then after 7 years, you know, we separated. And then 3 months later, we got back together, you know, here. Why? Because I'm hearing God again. Here I am. I've convinced myself. You know, when you say, I think you talked about, you're talking about people believe that God is speaking to them to do this. That's what I did. I believe, you know, I didn't really wait on God, you know, because he clearly said, don't go back.
And we have to understand too that we don't condone divorce. That's not what we say.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
let me just explain something to you.
Yeah.
A lot of times, because we don't want to wait, we rush into a relationship.
Yes. Yes.
And then when we find out it wasn't God, because now you're seeing clearly that oh my God, this is not God. Then you want to rush out of it. No. Maybe God is saying, okay, you didn't wait then, but you need to wait now. You need to endure now.
Right.
You need to go through
Right.
now because you did not obey then. Because if not, what will happen is you're going to go through the same cycle over and over. You're going to go into a relationship, get out of it. Go into a relationship and get out of it. And you're never ever going to have that peace of God and be in His perfect will because you're constantly trying to instant gratification.
Right.
I want her now. I want him now. So I'm going to go. I want out now, so I want to go. That's not what we're saying.
Yeah.
You need, again, wait on God. Vito could not leave his marriage.
Right.
14 years.
That's right.
That wasn't an instant out.
No.
Trust me, if he had a choice, he wouldn't have he would have been out way before 14 years.
I remember those times when I was trying to get out, and I was like,
no, you stay right there.
Stay right here. And she's right about that. We don't condone. No. We're not trying to. No, what we're saying is that's why we're sharing this with you. This can save you from going through that.
Right.
Right. Us talking about hearing God. And again, if you don't know how God speaks to you, because how you don't know how God speaks to you, because God makes His voice so clear. He does. And He will also use people to confirm. My God.
You know it's not, she's not the one.
Right.
You know he's not the one.
That's right.
So you already know that because you have a relationship with God. God has already told you. But because we're human and we need to touch, feel, and see.
There you go.
God said, okay, I'm gonna show you through your friend, or I'm gonna show you through a family member. I'm gonna show you through somebody who's outside looking in with no emotional attachment.
Right. No flesh.
Who loves you. But all of a sudden, you ever realize that the people you used to trust, the people you used to listen to, and the people that sold into your life, when they're telling you something that you don't want to hear, all of a sudden, they can't be trusted. And they've never shown you they can't be trusted.
Wow.
They've never shown you they can't be loyal. They've always showed you their heart.
And told the truth to
them. But then this individual comes into your life, and all of a sudden, the person that you loved and respected so much is now your enemy because they're telling you something you don't want to hear. And they're telling you this because they love you, but because the flesh has blinded you.
Exactly.
No matter what someone has told you, if you've made up in your mind, we talked about this earlier before the video, when a person have it made up in their mind, they're going to go forward despite the confirmations. There's nothing we can say.
It's nothing you can say.
There's nothing we can do, nothing you can say because your mind is made up. But we're talking to those, you want to make sure that you're in God's will. You want to make sure that whoever God has for you is for you. And if you got to wait, you're willing to wait. And if you feel like you can't wait, you're the people who need to go to God and say, God, give me the strength
and the patience that I need
to wait. Waiting 10 years wasn't easy, y'all. When I had to wait 10 years, no sex, no nothing, that was hard. It took God. It wasn't Marshall. It took God for me to wait on my husband. And then 14 years, it took God to give him strength to stay in it before He released him.
When it wasn't Him put us.
So in every area of your life, you going to have to wait if you want God's best for you. And I mentioned in another video, it's good, better, best. We ain't talking about worse. Hopefully you don't go to that extreme. But good, better, best. Why do we don't have to settle for less than what God has for us.
That's right.
The best, it takes time in every aspect, whether you're in it, whether you trying to get in it or you out of it. Trying to get anything God's way takes time. just like your children, for those who have children.
That's good.
When your children ask you for something, and it might not be a bad thing, but it's not the right time for it. Why? Because you know they're not ready. They're not mature enough to handle it. It's out of their timing. You're not saying no forever. You're just saying no, not right now. Right. And a lot of times we take no from God to mean never. Maybe it just means not yet. Maybe it's just a delay until we can get to that point where we're ready. I wanted to be married at 25. God said, nope, you're going to get married at 33. I wasn't ready at 25 looking back. I had just started my relationship with God. I had just given my life to Christ at 24. So God knew you ain't ready for a man. So those are the things we have to understand. God knows everything. He's more smarter, you guys. Just in case y'all forgot, He's smarter than us.
He's the
Our
best.
timing sucks. I'm gonna get a T-shirt.
Yeah.
It's gonna say our timing sucks.
Listen, you heard it first, right here. I dare you to try to patent that, and we see that somewhere. I'm suing you. Take you to court. My wife said that. Say it again.
Our timing sucks.
Yeah.
It really does.
Spell it, babe, so that way they won't even try to patent that. You know how people get.
So, and it's hard sometimes to talk to people when they've already.
That's gonna be another video. That's gonna be another video.
Yeah, that's part 2. Now you're in it. Now what? Whew. That's part 2. You disobeyed God. You went forward anyway. Now you're in it. You said I do. You said I do to a whole bunch of stuff you should have said I do too. But now that you said I do, now what? That's part 2.
I can tell you about that one for real.
So I hope that what we spoke about today enlightened a lot of you on just making sure that you know that your relationship with God is so intact that you don't hook up with the person that you're not supposed to hook up with, or you hook up with the person out of timing. Because what if God says, yes, that's your husband, yes, that's your wife, but not right now? What do?
Why is it that we won't? It's like we don't catch that. It's like God say no.
We're children.
And it's like, okay,
we want our ice cream now.
No, or yes, or that. Okay, so that yes means I can go ahead and do it now. Then I mean, we don't ask that.
We don't ask the when.
We don't do that. We ask
the question, God, can I get married? Yes.
Yes.
And we think yes means now. Okay, now what you ask God, when? 10 years from now. God, can I get out of this marriage, please? Yes. When? 14 years from now. We don't ask the when.
And I never asked God to get me out of that marriage.
I know. I just use that.
I mean, while I was in it, I was believing God to do what He needed to do. You know, to how can I say it?
Change the situation.
To change the situation so it can be what I visualize, what I believe what a marriage should be. And I went through that for 14 years and it never happened. And it's like, okay, God, why you in it? Why did you do it? And it was so clear. God would never put down His will and put it to the side
for yours.
For your will. He would never do this.
Oh, man.
He would never say, okay, Vito, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to change my will and purpose for your life. Just because you repented. And I'm going to just take everything that I willed for your life for you to receive, have, to live in. I'm going to just set it to the side. Why? Because you repented. And I am going to accept you because I just like you, Vito. I like you and I like the way you look. So therefore, I'm just going to put down everything I purpose for your life and I'm going to accept your will. And I'm just go ahead and yield to you.
I made a mistake and you got it right.
That's right, Vito. You got it right. You chose the right one. And just no matter what I say, don't worry about me because I'm God. I never lie. You know, I'm perfect in all my ways. I never make a mistake. So Vito, guess what? This time I think I made a mistake. God doggone Vito, I made a mistake. So this time, Vito, you right.
We're
out of
laughing.
everybody on this world,
We're laughing,
you're gonna be
but
right.
that's how we act in our actions.
Yes.
When it comes
Yes.
to making a decision
Yeah.
out of God's will,
Yep.
we really think that we want God to bless our mess.
Yeah.
That we
Endorse
started.
it. Endorse it. Yeah.
God, this is who I want.
Yeah.
I need you to bless it.
And God supposed to say, okay, well, yeah, no problem.
Right.
I'm going to endorse your fleshly act. I'm going to endorse your agenda. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, okay. Hey, Angel. Hey, Gabriel. Hey, Michael. Don't worry about what I have for him. Don't worry about that. We're going to give him what he likes.
And
yes.
let me talk to the ladies for a minute.
Uh-oh. You going to hit him, baby?
No. This is for all of us.
Okay.
Hitting myself as well.
Okay.
Because I've done it too. We cannot change a man. If he is what he is, and if he's showing you who he is, just like Maya Angelou said, believe them. It's what he does. It's not what he says. If what he's saying and what he's doing is not adding up, God is showing you who he is. You cannot change a person. Oh, when we get married, oh, he's going to change and because he loves me. No, sweetie. We have a lot of power, but that's one power belongs to only to God.
Yeah.
Only God can change someone. And trust me, the person that God has for you needs no changing
That's
under
right.
your command.
That's right.
That's going to happen when you're together, when God has hooked you up and then you're going through this process together, then you guys change together. Because it's not just him who needs help and needs changing. We need help in changing too. But when God does it, we change and we get the help we need together from our Father together. That's how easier it is when you're connected with the right one.
That God hook you up with.
Right. So when you're not, think about it. He's not going to change. He's going to get worse. We're not going to change. We're going to get worse. And now you're hooked up together. Two people not changing, getting worse equals you fill in the blank. So why go through all that? God has already told you he's not the one. Males, God has already told you she's not the one. Because we've heard from a lot of people recently telling us we knew before we said I do.
Yeah.
But we thought God was going to change the situation.
From both
we
sides.
thought
Yeah.
that, God was going to bless it
Yeah.
anyway. And now they're in it. God loves you so much. He's going to tell you, daughter. He's going to tell you, son, no, not right now. But when you do what you want to do, then you have to pretty much suffer the consequences.
And there will be some consequences.
And then you have to wait to go through that process where you can just eliminate that one process and wait on God, no matter how long it takes. I know people who have waited longer than 10 years. I've known people who waited less than 10 years and it was still in God's plan. So it's not a number per se, it's an obedience.
Right.
That's what it is. It's an obedience to God. If God say wait a year, so be it. But God said it. If God say wait 10, 15, 20 years, God said it. So that's it. So we just have to get to that point where we're actually listening and waiting on God. Not when you're in it. When you're going through something and you need to know before it starts, pray. Ask God, is this the one? Because I don't want to waste my time. Ask him before.
Good. That's right.
God, if it's not time for me to get married right now, let them be at bay. Keep them at bay. Leave them, let him leave me alone, or let her leave me alone, or give me the strength to say no. So there are some things that we could be praying to make sure we don't put ourselves in a situation where we fall. And it's hard for us to get up and say, you know what, maybe it's just harder. So yeah, just understand that we can't change a man. And men, you can't change us either.
No. Not at all.
So I hope that what we have said today have resonated. Again, we could talk so much about this, but we really hope that you understand the importance of God's perfect timing and his perfect will for your life. We don't want you to have to go through unnecessary struggles because you're out of God's will. Okay. So, is there anything else you want to add?
I just want to say this part, if you don't mind me saying this part. But it takes patience to wait on God's timing. It takes patience to wait on God's timing. And that patience, with that being, that patience also plus trust. Patience and trust, We get impatient, that's because we're lacking some trust now, And who we looking at, who we eyeing down, or who we kind of thinking about, that could be the one. But we're afraid to ask God, is that the one? Because we really don't want to hear that voice saying no.
Right.
We don't want to hear that. Why? Because we got in our mind, I'm going to go along with this here. So
and there's a difference between waiting and waiting patiently.
That's right.
Those are two different things.
Yes.
Because we can wait all day long with a bad attitude. We don't want to do what God is telling us to do because we mad because we don't have what we want right now.
Come on.
Or you can wait patiently with the right attitude, knowing that God's best for us is coming and that He loves us so that He's gonna bless us so good. So that's the difference between waiting and waiting patiently.
Yes.
So we want to be able to wait patiently, because if you just wait with the bad attitude, you're going to keep waiting until your heart is right, until your heart change. And then when you're waiting patiently, you're like, okay, God, whatever your will is, let it be done. Bam, here come your blessing.
Yep.